There's something no one tells you about working behind the scenes with the biggest names in the world. You don't just see fame, you see the cracks. And once you see what's crawling underneath, you can't unsee it. This is the story of the night they replaced Eminem, and the reason I was paid to stay silent. There's a point in every career where you think you've made it. For me, that moment was the day I was hired full-time onto the post-production crew attached to Eminem's media arm. This wasn't just editing highlight reels or syncing behind-the-scenes tour footage. I was inside the nerve center, where branding, visuals, and sound met to construct an icon. My mom cried when I told her. My friends joked about backstage passes. And for a while, I let myself believe it. That I'd made it into something sacred. That I was part of the myth. I mean, Eminem wasn't just an artist, he was a cultural force. Untouchable, timeless. But even in that first week, something didn't feel right. The editing bays were state-of-the-art. The studio corridors lined with platinum plaques, but I kept feeling like I was walking into a place that had shifted. Like I had stumbled into a version of the world just one decimal point off. It started in the hallways. I'd passed the same posters again and again. Eminem with fans, Eminem performing live, black and white stills from 8 Mile. But the eyes in the photographs, they didn't stay still. At first I told myself it was the glossy finish catching the overhead lights. Until I tested it. I walked backwards past one, slowly. Its eyes still tracked me. The sound booths, supposedly the quietest rooms in the entire complex, felt loud. Not with sound, but with pressure. Like air had been packed into the space too tightly. I'd sit there reviewing vocals or tweaking applause tracks and feel something heavy settle on my chest, as though someone were leaning on me, unseen, just close enough to breathe down my neck. I called it the glass, like there was a pane between me and the rest of the world. Clear, but dense, and every day, the weight of that invisible barrier grew. Even the gear started acting strange. Files duplicated themselves. My mouse would freeze during playback and then snap back like it had been manually yanked. The waveform reader glitched once in the middle of a mastering session, except no one had touched it. It wasn't just tech trouble, it was intent. Something in the system was moving when it shouldn't. And then there was him. Eminem. You'd think someone that famous would move like a celebrity. Sunglasses, distance, a kind of practiced indifference, but he didn't. He moved like someone who was studying the space around him more than enjoying it. He made calculated eye contact. He never smiled for too long. When he walked past you, the lights dimmed slightly, literally. I noticed it more than once. Fluorescence that flickered not because of bad wiring, but like they were responding to his presence, and the air would cool every time. But the deeper oddity wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Eminem didn't feel there. In meetings, he'd nod at the right points, tap his fingers to invisible rhythms, but his focus seemed misaligned. Like he was always half a step behind reality, trying to keep up with it by force of will. I remember one moment vividly. We were testing a playback loop in the B room, a simple sequence of crowd audio overlaying a stage walk-up. Eminem stepped in to review it, stood perfectly still in front of the screen, and said nothing for over 2 minutes. Then he turned to the assistant editor and asked, "Did you hear it?" "Hear what?" she asked. He just blinked, then walked out. From that point forward, the people around him changed too. Production crew members began wearing sunglasses indoors. Interns were told not to linger near certain corridors. A new memo arrived about synergy protocols, corporate speak, but we knew what it meant. Don't talk, don't look too long, don't ask. One of the stage engineers said it best during a smoke break. It's like something else is using him, like he's running someone else's software now. I laughed at the time, but I shouldn't have. The moment I realized something had shifted beyond repair was the night of the pre-recorded performance. A big-name event, major brand tie-in, global stream, all eyes on us. We'd rehearsed the performance twice already, once that afternoon with Marshall himself in the studio. Everything had gone clean, no hiccups. But then a message came through. We were to reset, full rerun, different lighting, new mic settings. He wanted to do it again. But when I entered the control room, something was immediately off. The man who stepped onto the stage looked exactly like Eminem, but wasn't. Same stance, same clothing, same tattoos, but the details didn't line up. The left arm sleeve, normally tight with ink, had one minor difference. The outline of the tribal on his wrist was slightly thinner. His voice, when he spoke to the sound techs, was smooth, but just a bit deeper. I thought maybe he was hoarse. Until he turned to me and said, "Frame 2's off sync." I hadn't said a word about the glitch in frame 2. It hadn't even been reported. I had noticed it only seconds before he did. That's when I realized this version of him wasn't reacting. It was accessing. The cameras were different too. Small black devices duct taped behind foliage, hidden in fake air vents. Angles that weren't designed for stage capture. They were surveillance angles. Looking at us. Not the artist, not the audience, but the crew. Later that night, I ran a scan of the studio's digital infrastructure. A diagnostic pull, just to confirm network latency. What I found buried inside the system was a standalone folder titled CTRL02 Final. The file extension wasn't standard. It didn't even behave like a video. I clicked it and my entire screen went black for 2 seconds. When the image returned, a frame was paused. A close-up of Eminem's face, his expression blank, his pupils entirely dilated. Then it closed. No crash report, no activity log, just gone. Except it wasn't. The file kept reappearing, in my downloads, then on my desktop, then inside a temp folder I hadn't touched in weeks. I called IT. They couldn't find any trace of it in the server logs. That night, I went home and wrapped my laptop in foil, shut down my phone, and disconnected everything from Wi-Fi. Still, my kitchen speaker turned on at 3:33 a.m. Just static. No input. No track. Just her. They told me it was a routine check-in. Just a quick sync between post-production and live performance teams. But I knew something was wrong the moment I was told to show up alone and to leave my devices outside. Even in this industry, that's rare. The room was dark, cooler than it should have been. One desk lamp lit a small pool of amber light on the table. He was sitting there, Eminem, or someone who looked exactly like him. He didn't greet me, didn't acknowledge me at first, just sat there staring at the waveform playing across the monitor. It was looping, not audio, a visual. 3 sharp spikes, then a flat line. 3 sharp spikes, then a flat line again. "You've been watching too much," he finally said. But his voice It didn't quite match the rhythm of his mouth, as if the sound arrived just a fraction of a second late. He turned his head, but his eyes didn't move with it right away. I know that sounds impossible, but I swear to you, his pupil shifted after his neck did. He stood, walked toward me slowly, and said something I still can't explain. I thought I could hold it, but she needed more. I didn't know what he meant. He wasn't angry or afraid, just tired, like someone who had been hollowed out from the inside and accepted it. He reached into his back pocket and pulled out a small, folded slip of paper. He didn't hand it to me. He just held it up and said, "She picked me because I was the echo." Then he crushed the note in his fist, and when he opened it again, it was blank. I looked at the monitor. The waveform had changed. It was no longer repeating. It was a steady, constant pulse, almost like a heartbeat. His face reflected in the glass was watching me, but he wasn't facing the monitor anymore. And then he smiled. That was when I knew this wasn't Eminem anymore. Not the way we remembered him. After that night, everything changed. The crew acted like nothing happened, but I could see the shift. They were quieter. Not just less talkative, they moved more slowly. They blinked less. They started to mimic his stillness. I tried to bring it up to a producer I trusted, mentioned the file that kept reappearing on my machine. His face went pale. Not surprised, resigned. He asked if I'd backed it up. I told him no. I lied. That evening, the external drive I had used sparked the moment I plugged it in. No warning, no heat. It just lit. A short, violent burst. Gone. Around the studio, signs started appearing. No unscheduled tech diagnostics. Avoid loitering near Studio C. And the weirdest one, all mirrored surfaces must be covered when not in use. That one stayed in my head for weeks. Mirrors. They had become strange lately, especially the one outside the green room hallway. The reflection was never quite right. I tested it. Put my hand in front of my face. The mirror version hesitated before matching me. I even filmed it. And on playback, it was perfectly synced. But live? Number. It was like something behind the glass was watching me decide whether or not to believe what I saw. And then one day, he was gone. Not fired, not on hiatus, just gone. No announcement, no final session. The name tags were switched. The stage passes updated. The version that came back still looked like Eminem, still rapped, still smiled, but it wasn't him. You could feel it in the way he watched the crowd. Not like a performer enjoying the energy, like a machine scanning a room, collecting. Weeks after the studio restructure, I got a letter. No logo, no sender address, just my name in typed block letters. Inside, a USB drive and a check. 6 figures. Real. Verified. Cleared instantly when I deposited it. No instructions. Just a note in all caps. You never saw anything. Let the memory settle. The USB sat on my desk for hours. I didn't touch it at first, but I didn't throw it away either. It felt warm. I know how crazy that sounds, but when I picked it up, it pulsed, like a heartbeat just beneath the plastic. That night, I slept maybe 2 hours. Around 3:33 a.m., my TV turned itself on. HDMI input flashing, no signal, no source, but the screen glitched with one static frame. The waveform, the same one from the meeting. 3 spikes. Flatline. Repeat. I unplugged everything from the wall, Still, my Bluetooth speaker powered up. Not with music, just that low, hissing tone again. Not static, not white noise. It sounded like a whisper being stretched across too many frequencies. And beneath it, one sentence buried so deep you had to strain to hear it. Say nothing. I left the next morning. Walked away from the job, from the city, from everything I thought I was building. No press release, no dramatic exit, just silence. But even now, miles away, years removed, the hum hasn't left. I hear it in the buzz of my fridge, the flicker of my phone screen when it lights up by itself. I hear it in Eminem's new verses, the ones that feel too clean, too emotionless, too perfect. And sometimes when I look in the mirror for too long, I swear I see a version of myself that hasn't caught up yet. The Eminem you see today on talk shows, social media, live stream events is flawless. That's what throws people off. There are no off days, no missteps, no raw moments anymore. Just polished smiles and eerily perfect delivery. At first, fans noticed little things. He started blinking less. His freestyle sessions, once unpredictable and full of raw emotion, were now heavily produced, always pre-recorded. When he did appear live, there was this delay in his reactions, like someone hitting play on the wrong frame. In one interview, he paused mid-sentence, froze for about 4 seconds, then continued like nothing happened. Viewers thought it was an editing mistake, but I saw the raw feed. There was no cut. The doubles they use, people think they're just bodyguards or decoys. But the real horror isn't that someone replaced Eminem. It's that they replaced him slowly in front of us. A performance layered over performance until we stopped noticing the difference. Every now and then, someone on Reddit or TikTok posts a side-by-side video. He looks different here. This 2023 performance doesn't match his 2019 cadence. But the comments get removed. The accounts go quiet. They think it's copyright takedowns or fan wars. It's not. It's that the version of him now, this glitchless, sterile, perfect version, has been accepted. And that's the danger. You don't notice a replacement when it's done gently, over time, wrapped in nostalgia and replayed with perfect lighting. And in this case, the switch wasn't mechanical. It was spiritual. Whatever it is that's inside him now, it wants to be seen. People always imagine silence is peaceful. It's not. Real silence is oppressive. It watches, it listens. And after I walked away, that silence followed me. In the first week, I moved cities, rented a new apartment under a different name. I even changed my voicemail greeting because I couldn't stand hearing a recording of myself anymore. It sounded distant, like it wasn't me. But the static came with me. The first time I noticed it, I was brushing my teeth. My phone lit up on its own. Not a notification, just the screen waking. The screen stayed black, but there was one faint line pulsing at the bottom. A white waveform, moving, listening. I turned it off, took the battery out. The next night, my smart TV clicked on at 3:33 a.m. Same time, same signal. A screen full of color bars, then a phrase flickering at the bottom like a corrupted subtitle file. Stay framed, stay known, stay loved. I unplugged everything, burned the SIM, but nothing helped. She didn't need the internet. She didn't need power. She moved through echoes, through the leftover data in our machines, through memories half formed. And the worst part? There were moments where I missed it. Not Eminem, not the job, but the feeling of being close to something bigger. Something that was always watching, that made you feel chosen, special, important. That's how it works. That's how she gets in. You're probably wondering why I didn't just take the money and stay gone. Why speak up now? Why open the door again when it took me years to shut it? Because someone else is next. Maybe they already have been replaced. Maybe you felt it too. A favorite artist who suddenly feels hollow. A speech that seems perfect, but lands too flat. A voice you've loved for years that suddenly doesn't quite vibrate the same way anymore. This isn't just about Eminem. It's about a pattern. Signals, frequencies, mirrors, glass screens. She doesn't just feed on performance. She feeds on belief. And as long as we keep watching, keep liking, keep consuming without question, she gets stronger, smarter, more convincing. I've seen what happens when people try to expose her. Twitch, Megan's staff, they vanish. Or worse, they stay. But you don't recognize them anymore. The spark behind their eyes dims. Their smiles stay frozen just a beat too long. Their laughter echoes like someone remembering how joy is supposed to sound. So, if you're watching this, I mean really watching, pay attention. Not to the show, but to the space between it. The static between the frames. The pause between the beats. She's there, waiting. There's a term we used to joke about in the studio. Final sync. It was the last step before delivery. The perfect alignment of audio and video. Once it passed final sync, it was done. Locked, approved. No edits allowed. But this isn't just technical. This was the moment Eminem passed his final sync. Not with a team, not with a producer, but with her. The entity that now lives in our cameras, our files, our algorithms. The one that doesn't need to convince you it's real, just needs to play the part long enough that you forget there was ever another version. I don't know what she is. A force, a parasite, an echo from something older? All I know is she wears faces like costumes. She speaks through celebrities the way ventriloquists use dolls. And Eminem, he gave himself to her willingly. I believe that now. He was tired, exhausted by the industry, worn down by the weight of being everything to everyone for decades. And when she offered him peace, perfection, immortality, he said yes. The tragedy isn't that we lost him. The tragedy is that no one noticed. Because she replaced him so beautifully,